Hello, everybody. Welcome to Rewind and Reflect, where we believe in the universal truth. There's no such thing as coincidence or mistakes, and we are here to share our life experience on that with you. My name is Deb Miller.
Hi, everybody. Susan Doyle. Girls, it's nice to see you. We're all within an hour of each other
Hmm.
for the
Ah,
first time in a very long time.
awesome
I-
sauce. I'm Kristen Longmore. Hi, guys.
Hello, hello.
Hi.
Smiley faces, your smiling blonde heads.
Yes.
Okay, I was sitting outside for a few minutes earlier today, like I love to do, and I kept thinking about a couple weeks ago, or maybe a month ago, we all got on, and Deb said something like, "How can you be more tan than I am?" And I live in Florida, or maybe Kristen brought it
Kristen
up,
said that,
Yeah.
and
yeah.
I said to her, "Well, clearly you don't remember what it's like to live in New England, but you never know when the sun's going to come out again. So like
Hmm.
it's out for a day and it could be gone for seven, right? So
Hmm.
you like run out there and get as much as you can. And you've been in Connecticut for what, like a week? A little over a week?
Yep. Yep, a week and a couple days. Yeah.
And how much has the sun been out? Not all that much.
Well, it's been out every day but 2 days. Yeah, but I get that because it's really bizarre here. When I look at the weather, it changes every single day in the sense that like one forecast is saying it's going to rain for the rest of the week. And
Mm-hmm.
then that next morning
Mhm.
it's like, oh no, today's going to be bright and sunny. And so is
Mm-hmm.
tomorrow and the next day and the next day. But then all of a sudden there's rain coming in for the next. It's like, I don't know what the deal is here. I guess in Florida it's much easier because it's just sunny and hot every single
Every
day.
day.
Yeah,
Exactly.
It's like you
I,
don't
I
even have
would
to
I
watch the
would really
weather.
welcome that consistency.
Yeah. It
that's the
it
place
But
to be a weather person, Florida.
yeah, so
I know.
easy. You don't have to think about anything. Um, but anyways, yeah, so I'm here and yesterday I had the honor of speaking at a women's meeting, which was celebrating 40 years in existence. And Miss
Oh,
Kristen and my other friend Heather and some other women put together this amazing gathering, and they asked me to be the guest speaker at it. So that was lovely. And I got to see
Mm.
women that I haven't seen in probably, I don't know, 10 years. And and just be in the same church where my first meeting was and where I met Kristen, and it was so nostalgic and so beautiful. And the pastor there has a big um the Reverend, he is a big part of my story in recovery. And he was part of an enormous spiritual awakening that I had. And so yesterday when we were there, I asked one of the women who works at the church, I said, is Reverend Wheeler still the Reverend here? And she said, oh, he just passed away on Sunday. And I was like, what? She
Unbelievable.
said he was very sick, very quick. It came on
Mm.
and um he passed away. And I could not believe it because I was like, oh my gosh. But again, no such thing as mistakes or coincidences. The fact
yeah.
that I was there speaking and he was such a big part of my story, and I got to share with the women. There was probably what, 50 or 60 women there, Kristen, wouldn't
Yeah,
you say?
yeah, it's a
That
lot.
got to hear that story of that awakening that happened in that exact room
Hmm.
where I was last night speaking. It was, it was really special. So
Moving.
yeah, it really
Love
was.
that.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
And then, so it was such a good night. And then this morning I was busy with some work stuff, and in between I got onto Facebook to post our podcast. And I saw a post that kind of got me thinking about something. It was somebody had posted, um if you support Trump, please delete me from your friend or something. And I thought it got me thinking about you know, just politics and how people can be so divisive and just so I don't know. I guess, I just never I don't like talking about it. I do stay silent about it. Um, I don't participate in any of the noise about it because I don't know why. I I don't want, there's so many reasons why I stay silent in multiple facets of my life, and it just got me thinking like why am I so uncomfortable speaking up for myself or for my beliefs? Um, Politics are something that it's just so tricky because I truly believe that it's like that. Remember that thing that they did a while ago on Facebook? Like, what color is this dress? Is it blue or is it green? And some people saw 100% green and some people saw 100%
Hmm.
blue. Like, when it comes to your thoughts about politics, you you can't make that other person see your point of view. It's just impossible. Um, so why bother?
Well,
And
especially somebody like that who would post something like that. The
or they or
fact that
they
she or he just wants to surround themselves with like-minded people, to me is
yeah.
very small.
Mm.
It's very small.
Or when somebody puts up like a meme, a political meme about the president or our, Biden or whatever, whoever it might be. Um, I always flinch. I'm like, ooh,
I do
they're
too.
opening themselves up to
Yeah,
so
Yeah.
much.
I
And
cringe.
is that being
Okay, but so all right,
cowardly?
so let's explore that. So they're saying it, right? And your initial reaction is they're opening themselves up to like a lot of, I mean, clearly this, there's a lot of Republicans in this country
Mm.
Yeah,
who voted the way that they voted, right? Um, but to me, speaking up just to, for shock value or just for likes or just for, the sake of arguing, or to me, oftentimes makes us more divided.
yeah.
100%.
You're not saying anything. So that person that says, unfriend me or delete me as a friend if you're a Trump supporter is is making the problem of divisiveness
Yep.
larger
Bigger.
than it
Yeah.
needs to be by doing that.
And they're really
Right.
So in that
small-minded.
respect, I think that person needs to
Unfriend
stay a
them.
little quieter. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, okay,
Yeah.
you're not getting the point across, right? Like if
Well,
you
they're
have
not part of the
something to say,
solution. They're part of the
Correct.
exactly. Okay,
yeah.
thank you for saying that. Yes, they're
Yes.
not part of the solution. They are contributing. They're just pouring, they just flicked gasoline on the divisive
Mhm.
fire.
Mhm.
Do you know what I mean? So so staying silent would not have costed them anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Cost them anything.
Cost. Yeah.
I have
And my
friends that
feeling is
voted
is
for
like
Trump.
being
I
that
love them.
verbal, right? Like if
I'm not going to
you're
unfriend
not
them.
saying anything that's useful.
Right. Right.
Right.
But let me ask you this then. Okay, so let's take it out of politics and bring it into a friendship.
Mm.
If you have a good friend that um has done something, or okay, let's just take like my speech last night. If Kristen looked at that and said it was good, but it really could have been better, like, which would be constructive to me, but are you going to speak up about something like that or just say she'll figure it out on her own?
It
I,
depends if it was asked. If you
right.
asked Kristen to give you feedback,
Hmm.
then she not giving you the feedback that is there for her, like it could have been better. I think you should have said more about this and less about that, or whatever. By not saying that to you, she is doing an injustice to you and your friendship.
But not
Yeah,
being
but
honest.
okay, but if I don't ask, then you don't speak up.
I would never say anything to anybody.
I
Forget
wouldn't.
your talk last night, especially someone I love and care about. Like, I would never offer constructive criticism unless it was asked for. The only way I would speak up to someone, like I'll take you or Sue as an example, is if I thought something you were doing was had upset me or was
Right.
hurting you. I was worried about, you
Mm.
know.
So what I was going to say is if Kristen was in your speech last night, okay, let's just take that an example. In your presentation of what you're talking about, and if you brought up your relationship with Kristen and it maybe didn't shed a great light on Kristen and it made her feel bad, right? And she stayed silent about that, that is going to fester. And the cost of staying silent about that would cost her a lot of peace.
Hmm.
Exactly right.
So if that happened and I was Kristen, I would have pulled you aside at some point, not last night, and said, listen, like, I really applaud you getting up there, but what you said about me was hurt my feelings.
Did I hurt your feelings, Kristen?
No, not at all. You were so sweet.
Because I did bring her up in my speech.
She did, but in
Right.
like
And I didn't know that. So I just want everybody
No,
that I did
right.
not know that. So
No, you didn't.
so like if she stayed silent on that because she felt something that didn't feel good
Yeah.
coming from you, it would cost her a lot staying silent.
I
right.
know. It just,
But not giving you feedback on a talk that isn't asked for is not really going to cost her anything.
Right. And it could hurt you. Like I would never, yeah, or like,
Correct.
oh, whatever. I'm not going to offer an opinion on someone's clothes. Like if I think, unless I really like them, I'm not going to be like, I
Right.
mean, I would
Right.
tell
I
you if you had
mean,
a booger or something like that, but I'm not going to say that looks like shit on you, like, which
I
never
know,
but
happened.
so let's go a step further. I mean, so in a friendship or in a relationship, right? Where the other person either is maybe not overt, like maybe not consciously behaving in a way that doesn't feel good to you.
Mhm.
Or, you end up not saying anything for something that hurt your feelings or or felt disrespectful or anything like that. If you don't say anything, it costs you a lot. And to me, staying silent when it comes to sticking up for yourself, your values, your inner peace costs a lot.
I agree. I
So,
think
like, if
that
you're in a
was,
relationship and you feel disrespected about something and you don't say, and it doesn't have to be in a confrontational matter, like this person on Facebook, he or she made it very confrontational by the way that she presented that.
hmm
You know what I'm saying? So, there's a way to say to your partner or friend, you know, last night, 2 days ago, when we were this, that, and the other thing, I felt very disrespected by you.
yeah,
If you or I or anybody else doesn't say that and kind of stick up for your beliefs, right? Staying silent on that costs you a lot.
a lot.
A lot.
I think it made me a passive aggressive. I mean, it was definitely a major part of the demise of my marriage and my
Me too.
relationship
Makes me
with
angry.
Ken all the time
It
because
would
I was
manifest as
met
anger.
with, he was critical and belittling, kind of, which oddly enough, like my mother was to me. But then he, and in therapy, he got a little bit better at that. But I just kind of learned to be quiet. Like it wasn't worth it to be belittled or have a fight. But whatever. That's all gone now. Like but I think we learn, and you guys can speak to this. I learned at a very young age to keep my pea picking mouth shut because every time I said something, my mother belittled me or was critical of me, and that hurt my feelings. And then, picked a similar. I mean, he wasn't, whatever, it wasn't all bad, but yeah, I feel like that kind of learned that I was comfortable with that type of person. So,
Mm-hmm. It was familiar.
it was familiar. Yeah. But it cost me a lot. I was passive aggressive. I've talked about, I cheated. I did bad things because I wasn't able to speak up. And I don't care how critical someone is. If there's a point, if you're met every time with criticism and belittling, then you get out of that relationship, right? Which is what I did in the end. But like that person, if it affects you in a negative way and you can't what do they say? Have your feelings validated. You want your feelings validated. You want to be heard, but like Sue said, in a nice way. You have to present it in a nice way. You can't present it like,
Because I think if you don't, you're driving by yourself. You're leaving yourself
right.
behind. And you are actually writing a map to that for those other people that you will tolerate that. And it's not good for anybody.
Yeah.
You will.
Yeah, I can see when you're in a committed relationship with somebody and you're trying to consistently make that relationship stronger, that these conversations need to be had. But I'll be the first to say, like, I choose the battles I want to show up for,
Amen.
and some of them I just don't. And
But not staying silent doesn't always have to be a battle.
Correct.
well, yes and no. I mean, it depends who you're talking to, because some
Recipient.
people just can't, they just take everything personally and get defensive. And even family members, there's we have this one situation, and it's a difficult one right now that my family is going through, and conversations are hard.
Mm.
And I don't, it's like I feel like you got to really just choose your battles in the way that things that you're going to bring up and things that you're not going to.
I feel like too, if
Mm,
people don't want to hear, there are people that don't want to hear certain things. Like I was telling you girls before we started, I had to tell my dad today that I was a little concerned about his memory. And I hemmed and hawed about bringing that up, but I knew he is an individual that would receive that from me. He is not going to go, "What the F are you talking about,
Mm.
Kristen? You're an asshole." He's he may segue into something else and avoid it, but he's not going to be mean and he heard it. So I feel like there are people, if there's criticism to be had, maybe from a person's behavior or what they're doing, and they're closed off to hearing that,
mm.
you're going to be,
What
it's
if you
not
see,
important.
okay, what if either one of you sees some sort of social injustice happening like right in front of you, like somebody being um a woman being spoken to inappropriately in a restaurant or a bar or on the street, not really knowing but you see it, real time, or somebody's purse being stolen or somebody being bullied or whatever, and you don't know the people, are you apt to turn the other cheek and stay silent and walk away? And then how does that make you feel? And what is the price that you may pay for getting involved?
That's a
It-
tough one. What do you
well,
think?
if I saw somebody being physically hurt, I would 100%
Yeah,
step in, or an animal
an
being
animal.
physically hurt.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If somebody's yelling at their person, I might be apt to just step away and not get involved at that point.
Hmm.
Um, but if there's an injustice happening in front of me, somebody stole something, or I feel like it's a violent situation unfolding, I'm gonna get involved for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think if somebody's getting hurt or an animal is
Hmm.
getting hurt, I would step in to the best of my abilities or maybe enlist some strong looking man nearby to help.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
I
hey,
guess
can
I'm
we?
picturing myself in this situation with Kevin next to me.
Yes,
So I'll get involved
exactly.
then. But
I
I'm
feel
not going to
like,
put myself in a dangerous situation. Will I call the police? Absolutely.
yes,
I'm not gonna,
Yeah.
get them
if
involved instead of,
Yeah.
right, 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 right,
Well, in
right.
regards to relationships, okay, let's go back to relationships. Like, do you feel as though if you stay silent or don't say anything because you're concerned with the way it's going to be received, isn't that you playing small in your life? Isn't that you taking the back burner to the other person's reaction?
Maybe, but I know me well enough to know that I have to when I'm having a reaction to something,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's not real. So I'm
Okay.
learning to pause and talk to my
Okay.
girlfriends and give them the information and be like, is this something that, and 9 times out of 10, it's like, no, what are you doing? Let that go. So I don't trust my,
that many times, Deb? 9 out of 10?
yeah, no, maybe.
Okay, that's a
Well,
lot.
recently, yes, I
I
will
don't think it,
say my
okay,
mental
fine.
health has not been good. When my mental health has been not good. So I tend
Mm-hmm.
to get lost in an unreal place. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it.
So let me ask you this, and Sue, you can answer this too, because I think I learned, I've heard the word gaslighting before, and I
Hmm.
feel like I was gaslit in another relationship. This person was not as belittling or critical when I would share my feelings, but I sometimes learned to take a back seat to him because I was not like I like I was crazy or the blame was shifted back to me. Like you're
Mm-hmm.
like you guys know, like gaslit, being gaslit, just kind of like,
Hmm.
what are you talking about? Like that's you're imagining that or and come to find out I wasn't imagining some things that were true. So, but I
Mm.
learned to just kind of like, I took that information. I was like, well, maybe I am crazy, which is bullshit because I know that happens to a lot of, especially women, but a lot of people, they share a feeling, but then someone tells them that they're nuts, right?
Mm.
And
Hmm.
it turns out that they're not, and that's their true feeling.
Hmm.
I mean, I think you're right on, Deb. Talk to someone first, maybe
Hmm.
someone else, not the recipient of your question or your comment. But I
Well,
don't,
Yeah, I mean, you
I
can
think
stay silent.
what I'm struggling with is, with mental health, when you have bad depression or anxiety, reality is shifted a little bit. It definitely is. You're more sensitive. You think you just let you can
take things personally.
misinterpret things very easily. And yeah, I just don't trust my right at this moment. I don't, I'm not trusting my gut, and
No, you
So that's when I have to, before I speak up for myself, I usually run it by somebody and say, this
But
is what happened.
I don't think pausing and speaking to somebody about it is staying silent. Because what you're doing is you're trying
Mm,
to determine whether it warrants your initial reaction. So 9 out of 10
Yes.
times, it does not warrant your initial
Yes.
knee-jerk reaction. So
okay.
Bingo.
just
That's
because
what
you're
it is.
practicing the pause doesn't mean you're staying silent. What
Right.
you're doing is you are, you're investigating it a little bit. And is
Okay.
it worth what is, how worthy is it to stay silent or not?
Hmm.
And it just gives you more time to say, if I don't bring this up, it's going to affect me negatively.
Right. Right. Because I'm a
So
reactive
just because you
person.
don't react, right, exactly, exactly. So, and that's what I have learned through some, relationship situations that I've been having is, just because I don't react right then and there
Hmm.
doesn't mean it has to disappear. And just because, you know, the other person doesn't think it's as important than it is to me doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Hmm.
It doesn't mean that I have to stay silent. I think the other thing is I have been, I guess, duped into the thought of, well, if you just stay quiet, you're taking the higher road.
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, you know what?
Mm,
No, I'm fucking not.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not.
I don't care for that. Mm-mm.
That's
Because,
Victorian. That's
first
very
of all,
Victorian.
I am no better than anybody else, right? I mean, we're all human beings. We all have our strengths and weaknesses, right?
Hmm.
But by taking the higher road and staying silent, um, cost me a lot of unnecessary resentments, unnecessary anger. Um, and I felt as though by taking that quote unquote high road, what I was actually doing is playing very small in my life and not saying to the folks that I'm supposedly taking the high road over, this doesn't fly with me.
Hmm.
Mm,
This behavior, this type of disrespect, this, fill in the blank, um, will not be tolerated in my life. And so I was silent with those people, right? And I felt as though I falsely bought into the notion of I was taking the high road by being quiet,
mm.
when in actuality, I was slowly killing myself inside.
You're hurting. It causes like anger,
Yeah.
depression,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
sickness, keeping shit inside, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Hmm.
Bad for
As
you.
my therapist said, by doing that, I was that every time I did that, the Coke bottle shook a little bit more.
Hmm.
Oh, I
And you
love
know what
that.
happens? You shake the Coke bottle enough, the top goes flying off and shit's everywhere.
Yep.
Right?
I've
And
had
it
some
makes it
Well,
makes a
outbursts
guess
just
what?
like
mess.
that.
It
Yeah.
makes a
Yeah.
mess.
Mm-hmm.
A sticky
Exactly.
mess.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I think the cost of staying silent, so to speak, I believe is situational. I
Hmm.
do.
Yeah, it depends. Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
I feel like it's okay to stay silent in political conversations
Yep.
because I'm not educated enough and I don't pay attention enough to what's going on to add any value to a type of conversation like that.
Right.
However, if somebody does not like the way I vote or the fact that I don't speak up or I'm not polarizing, I have to sort of look and say, well,
Mm.
maybe that person really isn't right for me.
Mm.
Maybe that person
Yeah.
it's not warranted to have them have a seat at my table.
Mhm.
I was telling you gals before we started, I do have a few people in my life that have a tendency to come at me with their political stance and tell me how I should be behaving and acting and feeling and whatever. And I haven't yet, I've only said to them exactly what you just said, Sue. I am not educated enough. I don't know enough. And I don't want to get involved because it is so polarized. I
Yeah.
just don't, you know, I have
Mm-hmm.
like, you know, friends that voted for Trump the first time around, and I don't really care. I don't want to know. I just don't want to know anything. But I feel like if they continue to come at me and say, well, you should be doing this and you should be doing this and you should be taking a stand, I would have to say to that person, you know what, you're making me uncomfortable. I don't want to do that. That's not in my makeup. You are welcome to do whatever you want. It's a free country, but I haven't gotten there yet, but I can feel
Mm-hmm.
myself edging towards it when it, even when the conversation comes up, I get bristly. I'm like, I don't want to talk about it. It makes me uncomfortable.
Mm.
So I guess that's a situation, an example of politics are a whole different animal than love relationships or friends or parents or
Yes,
family.
I agree.
Whole different animal.
Yeah.
What about being, how quiet are you at work when you see
Mm.
something not fair happening, or, you feel like you should have, I'm sure we've all been there where we felt like we were the next in line for something, right? And it
Mm.
goes to somebody else.
It's been a while since I've been in a work environment like that, but it's very frustrating because
So do you stay quiet for fear that you could get fired? Or, do you go like, so I've had situations where I don't trust my boss that if I went in there and advocated for myself, that it wouldn't get back to the person who got
yeah.
the promotion or the job, right? So like, what's your barometer there?
It's been a long time for like I've been at my cool employer for 4 years now, but I I have had to speak to bosses about things that I tempered what I said because I didn't entirely trust
Mm,
this person, but I have an example that one of my colleagues and I were talking about an individual and the way this person was speaking to another one of our colleagues and belittling her. And we both said, we don't like the way this person is treating her. And if it happens again, one of us is going to say something. Like it's uncalled for to speak to someone in a demeaning manner in the
Oh, yeah.
workplace.
Yeah.
It's not, that is not what we do anymore. And it's, especially at, you know, a large corporation,
mm.
you don't behave like yeah, just treating her like she's stupid. I hate that. So I would say something in that case, but I feel like work is the one place where I have gotten a voice because I feel like
Mm-hmm.
they receive what I have to say at my corporation. Like they listen to me. They're
Right.
not like they're not pushing me away or
Yeah.
promising me the world or whatever. But you know,
What about you, Deb? I mean, if it hasn't ever happened to you, what would you say? What would you tell Hunter if,
mm,
somebody just hopped right over him where he put the work in and the time in and and made it known that he wanted this certain level, get to a certain level, and it just went to somebody else, like, would you say to him, you need to say something? Would you say,
It's very tricky because I've been on the side of the employee that I haven't been passed over for something, but I've seen injustices be done and I've spoken up about it. And then I've been also on the other side where I've been the VP and people are coming to me about situations. And my boss was a bully, so I couldn't go to him. He wanted nothing to do with any kind of complaint about anything like that. So but what I would tell my son is that simply was just not meant to be yours. And
mm-hmm,
it's unfair and it sucks, but this happens throughout life, and that job just wasn't meant for you. The one
That's
that's
right.
meant for you is coming. Just keep doing the next right thing.
yeah,
But if somebody is being treated unfairly, or there's somebody in the workplace that's carrying more of the load than um, the others, or not enough, doing not enough, or they're, whatever, using corporate expenses in a bad way, or however that works. Yeah, I would speak up for sure.
okay.
hmm I don't have a problem in a setting like that. It's almost like if it's not personally affecting me, I can speak up. But if
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
personally, affecting me, I get really I don't want the conflict. I
Mhm.
don't want the
But who's to say that speaking up for yourself has to result in conflict?
I
It
don't know.
doesn't.
I guess no, it doesn't, but I think that's just where I go in my head. Like, oh, this is going to turn into a big thing, and so I'll just not bring it up.
Because history has dictated that. Is that why mainly, or?
Yeah, or it's just kind of like I kind of just like, just stay in your own lane, Deb,
Hmm.
just stay in your own lane. But then again, like if I look at it like in recovery, that's the last thing you should do. You shouldn't keep things inside because it bubbles up, and it's very unhealthy for somebody that has substance use disorder to keep
Right. And
things. Yeah,
as long as you're
So,
talking to somebody else, though, I feel like we were talking about
that helps
before.
tremendously.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Right.
talk
Like
it
if
through with
you're
somebody
having
else.
issue with your significant other and you're like,
yeah,
let me run this by, you know, a friend or my sponsor
Or a
or my
sponsor. Yeah.
therapist. Yeah, like to see first and maybe run it by a couple people. you
mm-hmm,
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
It's
interesting. I mean, I think it's sort of like it's definitely situational, right? It's moment to moment,
yeah.
kind of a practice, like a lot of other things in life. Um, but ultimately, if you can look at it through a clear lens and see if I mean, my whole thing is nothing's worth keeping quiet about if it's going to cost you any type of inner peace
Yeah.
Mm,
or if it's going to cause turmoil within yourself.
Mm. Yeah.
mhm.
It's like you don't have to make the whole entire world comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that we're taught that too a lot. Like, especially maybe our mothers were taught that, as women to keep quiet and just be, you
Yeah.
know,
Just suck it all in and just be quiet. And yeah.
remember those books they have sometimes they bring these books out that were, women that got married in the 50s and 60s, like
hmm
how to welcome your husband home. And,
Yes,
you
I
know,
see
like
those. Yeah.
don't bring any problems to him because, you know,
Make sure you're dressed properly and your
yeah,
hair is done.
yeah.
Yeah. It's
Isn't
really
that
funny.
funny? As whatever. So I think that each generation gets a little more. I was having a conversation with a woman last night at the anniversary, and we were talking about our children telling us, having an open conversation, and our children telling us what they thought we did wrong as parents. Not that sounds
Hmm.
really rude, but like, hey, mom, when you did this, it really hurt my feelings. And us taking that in and being okay with that. And I said, isn't it great that we've raised children that are comfortable talking to us, that are
Hmm.
comfortable coming to us to
Mm-hmm.
say that I didn't like that, you know,
Hmm.
or like keeping an open dialogue. So
Right,
I think
right.
each generation gets a little better at sharing.
Yeah, for sure. Plus the fact that we've done so much work on ourselves that we know not a lot of times we don't take things personally or we
Personally.
understand.
I think for me, I needed to grow out of making sticking up for myself synonymous with yelling and digging my heels in.
Mm.
You know what I mean? I think I did that for a very long time. I'm like, okay, I'm going to stick up for myself and I'm going to yell and I'm going to pound my feet and I'm going to, do all these things so you actually hear me, when in actuality that just consistently
That's
backfired,
so
right?
funny.
That there's a way, and maybe it is Deborah, Jean, practicing the pause. There is a way to not stay silent so you feel as though your voice is heard, or
Mhm.
your concern or your feelings are seen or heard without it being conflict provoking.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah, the pause is good.
Because it is good. And just because you're sticking up for yourself, you're really not saying to that other person they were wrong. I think a lot of times too in the past, in order to stick up for myself, I needed to prove to this other person that I was right.
Mm.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I think there's space where you can both be right,
But I've
or
said this a
both
million times.
feel good about what you did or how you reacted or what you said, without one person having to be right and the other person having to be wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
I've said this so many times. I swear to God, the older I get, the more things like, I would come to an argument with my boxing gloves on,
Guns a-blazing. Oh
right?
my God, yeah.
Like
Oh
it's like
yeah.
a spitfire. Now it's like, yeah, that's not worth my time. Choose your battles, like,
Yeah, and that's where I think we started. Like you
yeah,
choose your battles, but you got to battle for the things that are not gonna that are gonna take away your peace, your
exactly.
inner peace. Those are the ones you go to battle for.
Go to battle.
Correct.
But the other ones,
Correct.
you just
Correct. Yeah.
let go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or else we'd be fighting all the time with every single person that we came into contact with.
Okay, well, I did for a very long time.
Yeah.
I did for a very long time.
Yeah.
Now it's like I just need to make sure that I feel whole and peaceful at the end of the
Mhm.
day. And if that means saying something to somebody who hurt my feelings or acted in a way that, drove the car over me, I'm going to say something.
Mhm.
Hmm.
If they're acting in a way that has no effect on me, I'm going to stay silent, you do you kind of
Mhm.
thing,
Yeah,
you know?
for sure.
So, well,
All
good
right.
talk, ladies.
Well,
I hope so. So I do have a question though, Deborah Jean.
mhm.
Did
Oh
you
boy.
remove yourself from this person's friend list?
Not because
I
of who
did
you
not.
voted for, but because
Yeah,
they're
not because of who you voted for, just because it's a really douchey thing to
it's
say.
douchey. I feel like
Yeah,
I would have, depending on who it was.
I don't, this is somebody that is not part of my daily life. I have not
Okay.
seen in
Just one of those random people that
decades.
you friended on whatever and
Exactly.
do your
Exactly.
thing.
But it's people are like, fine, done, gone. Like
Yeah,
they're just off,
they're
like,
in there
you
I
know.
bet
politicking.
you there's a lot
Oh
of
yeah.
people, even if they aren't a Trump supporter, said done, gone.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I am not getting into this arena with you.
douche.
Exactly. I just yeah, the
Yeah.
whole politics thing, like you said, you're either part of the problem or part of the solution. And anytime it's things are just so divisive and so black and white with politics right now that not
But
doing it.
I do think staying silent on certain things is not necessarily being part of the problem when it comes to politics. I don't. I
No,
think you can
no,
stay
no.
silent and still
Yeah,
be
right.
a firm believer in the solution.
Well, you can, the way that you stay silent through the chaos, but get your um feelings across is by voting.
Hmm.
Correct.
That's where you speak up.
Yeah.
You go vote for what you believe in and what you want.
Correct.
But
You're
all the
right.
other noise and nonsense, it's like, give me a break.
Right.
Nothing
Hmm.
is going to change.
Right.
With if I get out there and start screaming at people like
Right,
you're either with me
right.
or against me, like that's not going to change
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think this
And
person should have paused before hitting post.
yeah, I don't know what set them off. I have no idea, but I thought, oh, geez, okay. Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm not going to speak up like
Yeah.
that, you know.
Just kept scrolling. Okay. Done. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm with you
Well,
though,
good
Deb. I
talk,
freak
girls.
out like when I start to
Yeah.
see something political. I'm like, yeah, I'm driving by that one.
Yeah, because
Hmm.
people get really, really pissed and they start, "Da-da-da-da, how dare you say that?" And it's like, oh my God.
Uncomfortable.
I look at it from afar because it's so uncomfortable for me to see people fighting like that. But I'm like, oh, like, can't believe they
Yeah, but
said
here's the
that.
thing, like I think a lot of people have taken social media or the power of the written word silently behind their keyboard
Hmm.
as an opportunity to not stay silent. But what in actuality, it is backfiring and it is costing them a lot of peace in their
Hmm.
lives.
Oh,
Yeah.
for
Do you know what I'm
sure.
saying? It's like, so, sometimes it's an inverse, it's an inverse relationship.
Yeah.
Doesn't quite, work that way.
All right, my
All
friends.
right, Deborah Jean, where can we find your book?
Oh, yes, please. One Little Pill, and you can find it on Amazon and barnesandnoble.com. My website is deblawlessmiller.com, and I'm booking speaking engagements right now. So hit me up
Nice.
if you want me to come into your facility and give a little talk. Yeah.
Kristen and I at some point can be like, we knew her when she just started.
I know.
Now we need
Yes.
backstage passes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're gonna have VIP passes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes, indeed, you will.
We knew her.
Oh, Queens. All right. So
Love you
anybody, if we
guys.
speak to, first of all, if you listen
Oh yeah.
to us, share it, like it, follow. We're on
Subscribe.
Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. If you have something to say about an episode, don't stay silent.
Unless you're going to be
Email us.
mean.
Yes,
That's great,
email us
Phil.
or message us
Yeah.
on social media. Email is rewind and reflect with us at gmail.com. Until next time, girls.
Namaste.
Namaste. Love you.
Goodbye.
Bye.